My world shattered in November 24, when my husband, a man who'd battled addiction in his youth, fought so hard to rebuild his life, only to lose his battle with relapse. We were separated at the time, clinging to the fragile hope of reconciliation, but his overdose left me grappling with grief and a devastating choice. His 2 daughters, ages 8 and 10, had already endured so much. A father who loved them fiercely but struggled to stay clean, and a mother whose own addiction kept her absent, cycling in and out of jail. Though I never labeled myself their mom, I was the steady presence in their lives, the one who tucked them in, packed their lunches, and loved them fiercely. They called me by my first name, but their whispers of home always pointed to the life we'd built together before it all. That home, with its mismatched couch and walls covered in their artwork, was where they felt safest. It was where they'd celebrated birthdays, baked cookies, and cried when their father's absence grew too heavy. Then came the letter. Their biological mother, writing from jail, asked me to adopt them. How do you process a request like that? Here was a woman who'd never prioritized her children, yet in her darkest moment, she chose to let them go. Not to her own parents, not to strangers, but to me. It felt surreal, even cruel, to reconcile her past neglect with this sudden act of sacrifice. I remembered her sporadic visits, the way she'd show up high or hungover, promising the girls she'd get it together, only to disappear again. But in her letter, she wrote, "They deserve a life I can't give them. You're the only one they've ever trusted." Her words gutted me. I knew the girls deserved stability, safety, and a future free from the chaos that had defined their lives. So, I stepped forward, heart pounding, to fight for custody. But the battle isn't just legal, it's deeply personal. My late husband's parents, who once enabled his addiction under the guise of family loyalty, now weaponize their grief. They've filed injunctions, painting me as an unfit single woman while positioning themselves as saviors. They argue that my financial situation, modest but stable, is inadequate, ignoring the fact that they're in their 60s and have never parented full-time. Their home, a sprawling house filled with trophies and framed photos of academic accolades, feels more like a museum than a nurturing space. The girls love their grandparents, but dread the rigid routines and emotional distance. "They don't laugh with us," the 8-year-old once whispered. "They just tell us to sit up straight." The irony cuts deep. I've always insisted the girls deserve relationships with all who love them, their aunts, their grandparents, even their mother's family. But their grandparents' actions scream entitlement, not love. They'd rather win custody than acknowledge the girls' own wishes. And while I'm financially unprepared for a protracted legal war, I refuse to back down. These kids have already lost their father. They've been failed by systems, by adults who were supposed to protect them. I won't let fear of judgment or financial strain dictate their future. Yet, the weight of it all is crushing. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that her grandfather, a man she adores, is fighting to take her away from the life she knows? How do you reconcile empathy for a mother who abandoned her children with the resolve to raise them as your own? Every day feels like walking a tightrope between grief, anger, and hope. The girls have nightmares about foster care, about being split up. They cling to me asking, "What if they take us away?" I hold them tighter, promising I'll fight until my last breath. But the legal maze is relentless. The grandparents' lawyers cite my marital status as a liability, ignoring studies that show stable single-parent homes can thrive. They've subpoenaed old text messages, twisting my words to imply instability. Meanwhile, the girl's biological mother, still incarcerated, has agreed to terminate her rights. A painful but necessary step. Yet even this is fraught. Addiction, as research shows, warps a parent's ability to prioritize a child's needs. Her sacrifice, though heartbreaking, aligns with what the girls need most: permanence. I've had to confront my own doubts, too. Am I naive to take this on alone? What if the trauma of their past resurfaces? Therapists warn that the girls may struggle with abandonment issues or anxiety, but the grandparents dismiss therapy as unnecessary drama. Their denial mirrors how they ignored their son's addiction, treating it as a phase rather than the chronic disease it is. Still, when those two little girls look at me with eyes that say, "You're our home," I find the strength to keep fighting. For them, for the family we could still be, and for the chance to rewrite a story that's been shadowed by loss for far too long. Their laughter, their messy hugs, their quiet trust, they're worth every battle. And maybe, just maybe, this fractured family can find healing in the unlikeliest of places. A makeshift home built not on perfection, but on love that refuses to let go.